entries of certain hands. Seen the slender minarets soar from dusty streets to raise the cry of faith to the one and only God. Seen the placid pagodas where gilded Buddhas squat amid the temple bells and incense. We have seen the tumbled temples, half buried in the sands, choked with verdant tangles, sunk in coraled seas, old truths toppled and forgotten. We have seen the wattled huts, the sweat lodge hogans, the wheeled yurts, and the ice age caverns where unwritten worship raised its knowing voices. But here, we build temples in our hearts. Side by side, we gather. We mix the mortar of the scattered dust of the holies of holies with the sacred water of the Ganges, lay Moorish alabaster on the blocks of Angkor Wat and rough-hewn Stonehenge slabs. Plumb Doric columns for strength of reason, square them with stern Protestant planks and illuminate all with Chartres' jeweled windows and the brilliant lamps of science. Yes, here we build our hearts, temples in our hearts. Side by side we come, scavenging the ages for wisdom, cobbling together as best we may the stones of 1,000 altars, leveling with doubt, framing with skepticism, measuring by logic, sinking firm foundations in the earth as we reach for the heavens. Here we build temples in our hearts, a temple for each heart, a village of temples, none shading another, connected by well-worn paths, built alike on sacred ground.
For each child that's born, a morning star rises and sings to the universe who we are. For each child that's born, a morning star rises and sings to the universe who we are. Oh, for each child that's born, a morning star rises and sings to the universe who we are. Oh, for each child that's born, a morning star rises and sings to the universe who we are. We are our grandmother's prayers, and we are our grandfather's dreamings, and we are the breath of our ancestors. We are the Spirit of God. We are mothers of courage, fathers of time, daughters of dust, and the sons of great visions. We're sisters of mercy, brothers of love, lovers of life, and the builders of nations. We're seekers of truth, keepers of faith, makers of peace, and the wisdom of ages. We are our grandmother's prayers. We are our grandfather's dreamings, and we are the breath of our ancestors. We are the Spirit of God. We are mothers of courage, fathers of time.
Morning. A warm welcome to the Unitarian Universalist Congregation of Whidbey Island. We do believe in diversity, equity, and inclusion, so you are welcome here, regardless of the spiritual path that brought you here, your ethnicity, your social status, your financial status, whom you love. You are all welcome. I want to especially welcome any visitors this morning. Please let us know if you have questions or anything that could help you feel more at home. I would like to remind everyone that there are hearing assist little devices in the back, in the basket next to Tom. So if that would help, please help yourself. And Tom Pocock is on our tech duty today. I want to thank everyone who contributed to this service this morning. This is a bit of an unusual service. There are more participants than usual, and I'm grateful to every one of them for saying yes and volunteering to speak. And that's Bill Graves, Effie Brown, Jane Spalding, Mark Simpson. Did I forget anyone? Eileen is a special case. Janet Garrow was supposed, that didn't mean that the way it came out. Janet Garrow was also supposed to speak today, but her airline changed her reservations on her. She had to leave this morning instead of this afternoon, so she asked Eileen to take her part, which Eileen graciously agreed to do. And then a couple of days ago, Joy Choker, who was to be our pianist and accompanist today, let me know that she had taken a tumble at home, hurt both of her wrists. She could not play. So again, Eileen, not for the first time, stepped in to save my bacon. And I want to thank Carrie Carpenter for doing refreshments today. Thank you. And to all of you who are ushers and greeters and everything, thank you very, very much. I hope you enjoyed the prelude. That was Dr. Issei Barnwell in the center singing the main part. She is a UU. She's a member of a church DC in Washington, DC. She was a member of Sweet Honey in the Rock for like 34 years, wrote much of their music, and she's amazing. She has a vocal range of over 3 octaves. She's just spectacular. And they did that video for the 2020 General Assembly, which is the yearly national convention of UUs, because that was COVID and they couldn't meet in person. So they did that fantastic version of We Are, which is in your hymnal if you're ever interested in it. I don't think we've sung it as a congregation, but it's a wonderful song. I was glad to hear so many of you sort of singing along. So thank you. And after the service, please do stay for coffee and refreshments. So we do acknowledge that we meet on the indigenous land of the Coast Salish people, and we are grateful to them, and we hope to be as good as stewards of the land and animals as they were. Now please take a deep breath and let it out, and let's ground ourselves for worship. The flaming chalice is the symbol of our denomination, and UU congregations around the world actually light it at the beginning of services and meetings. It was created in 1941 to represent community and enlightenment, truth, justice, love, and warmth. As Sandy lights our chalice this morning, I would like to share these words by Reverend Wayne Arneson. Take courage, friends. The way is often hard. The path is never clear, and the stakes are very high. Take courage, for deep down there is another truth. You are not alone. Please rise in body or spirit as we read together our affirmation, which will be up on the screen, and then remain standing for our first hymn. Love is the spirit of this congregation and service is its practice. This is our great covenant, to dwell together in peace, to seek truth in love, and to help one another. And our first hymn is number 326, which is in the gray hymnal. If you like to read the notes as well as the lyrics will be up here, but you're welcome to look it up in the gray hymnal. And just as a general thing, our hymn numbers under 1,000 are in the gray hymnal. Any hymn that's numbered 1,000 or above is in what we call the teal hymnal, the little blue one. Today's service will be a little different than usual. Today we focus on this painting as a way to learn more about who we are as Unitarian Universalists, a little more about our history and our values. Today's service, as I said, is a team effort, and I'm really grateful to all the participants. In 2012, I attended a UU Musicians Network conference at All Souls in Tulsa, Oklahoma, the UU church there. And that's right in the middle of the Bible Belt. And some people refer to it as the veritable buckle of the Bible Belt. Now, Tulsa is the home of Oral Roberts University, a Christian Pentecostal evangelical institution. So it's significant that liberal UU All Souls is a big church, about 1,800 members. When I was there in 2012, I saw the original of this painting hanging in the foyer of that church, and I asked about it. And I was told what I think is a fascinating story about how it came to be. All Souls' current senior minister, Reverend Marlon Lavenar, was meeting an insurance agent downtown Tulsa. And in the lobby of that building, there was a painting which he was told reflected the values of that business. When Reverend Lavenar returned to his church, he told people about it, and everybody thought it would be a great idea if All Souls had a painting that reflected their values. Now, it was helpful that the painter of this painting, P.S. Gordon, was a member of All Souls. I'm sure that helped the process move along. But they raised the money and they commissioned the painting, and in 2002, this was finished and hung in their lobby. Now, every element of this painting represents something about Unitarian Universalism. It's not specific to All Souls, so this applies to all UU congregations, and I think we're justified in being able to talk about it today. Now, it's since become very popular, and a copy of it hangs actually at the UUA headquarters in Boston. So we're going to briefly touch on the symbols in this painting. But I want to tell you one other side story about All Souls before we get to the painting. A young minister of color named Carlton Pearson actually attended Oral Roberts University and was mentored by none other than Oral Roberts himself. and he became a senior bishop at the Higher Dimensions Family Church, where attendance during the 1990s was as high as 5,000 people. So we are talking a large denomination. But in the early 2000s, Bishop Pearson had an epiphany. He could no longer go along with the idea of hell. He believed in universal salvation. And universal salvation, the idea that a loving God would never condemn anyone to hell, is the basis of the universalist side of our history. So, but for Reverend Pearson, this declaration resulted in the fact that the College of African American Pentecostal Bishops declared him a heretic. His following dropped off significantly, but Reverend Marlon Lavenar extended an invitation to him to come to All Souls. And in 2008, Pearson and his followers became part of All Souls. Pearson died in 2023, but when I was there in 2012, it was very much a blended congregation. They had what we would consider our traditional services, but they also had praise services. When I was there, they had the big drum band set up in the front of the church, and we attended some very upbeat services run by that band. So there's a documentary, if you're interested, there's a documentary on Prime, I believe. It's called American Heretics. And it tells the story of Tulsa, actually of a UCC church there who voted to become a sanctuary congregation. And it talks about All Souls. You'll see Reverend Lavenar and Bishop Pearson. And it's a fascinating view of that. But back to our painting. The table is the very foundation of the picture. It's an early American antique from the time of the American Revolution, and it represents our roots in both Unitarianism and Universalism in this country. And it's interesting to note, I think, that Thomas Jefferson said in 1822, quote, "I rejoice that in this blessed country of free inquiry and belief, which has surrendered its conscience to neither kings nor priests, the genuine doctrine of only one God is reviving. And I trust that there is not a young man now living in the United States who will not die a Unitarian." Now, we didn't achieve such notoriety, but I am very pleased to think that none other than Thomas Jefferson thought so highly of us. So now I turn this over to Bill.
I'm Bill Graves, and I get to talk to you about the 3 books that are on the table, right there, hopefully on the screen too. For those of you who've taken the New U preparatory class, you'll probably have some sense of what those books signify, but let me remind you. So at the bottom, appropriately, is a book that's titled Holy Bible, which reminds us that we Unitarians and Universalists historically were biblically based. We are, in fact, products of the Protestant Reformation. We differed only in our interpretations of biblical scriptures. The Unitarians held that the Bible did not support the idea of a Trinity or a God with 3 manifestations, the Father, the Son, and the Holy Ghost. And Mavis already alluded to the historical biblical interpretation of the Universalists having to do with universal salvation. And for the record, the Unitarians institutionally dropped claims of being biblically centered around the start of the 20th century, and the Universalists did so in 1961, not till 1961 when they merged with the Unitarians. So let me jump now to the third book, the book on top, which has no title or no text.
Oh, yeah.
It is an open book, if you will. It suggests that religious inspiration doesn't come from one special source that only spoke 2,000 years ago, and it invites me and you to fill in its pages. So how do we get from a closed book to an open book? That brings us to the book in between. The book,
I'm going to do
I
the
think you can
ballad.
read it, titled
Mhm.
Emerson. Ralph Waldo was the de facto leader of an incredibly influential 19th century school of thought called Transcendentalism. Its exponents of Transcendentalism were virtually all from New England, and virtually all were associated with, one way or another, with the Unitarian Church. And they included Henry David Thoreau and Margaret Fuller, Theodore Parker, and Bronson Alcott, who was the father of Louisa May. And Emerson himself was a Unitarian minister. It's hard to capture the Transcendentalists in just a short period of time. But let me just say that they sought to transcend religious or cultural dogma of any kind. They had the revolutionary idea that the ultimate source of spiritual gifts resides in the soul of each individual. They are accessed primarily by intuition, experience, and attentiveness to the natural world, to nature. So I'm going to now let Ralph Waldo do the rest of the talking for you. Visualize for a moment, if you will. You are in Cambridge, Massachusetts. It's July 15th, 1938, and you are about to hear some excerpts from an address by Emerson to the senior class of the Harvard Divinity School. Please excuse his 19th century ideas about gender inclusion. Just see if you can spot some of the themes I have been talking about and which formed us in this address. My best, Emerson. Esteemed new colleagues, in this refulgent summer, it has been a luxury to draw the breath of life. The grass grows, the buds burst, the meadow is spotted with fire and gold in the tint of flowers. The air is full of birds and sweet with the breath of pine, the balm of Gilead, and the new hay. It is in nature, in the woods, where I return to reason and faith. There I feel that nothing can befall me in life, no disgrace, no calamity, which nature cannot repair. Standing on the bare ground, my head bathed by the blithe air and uplifted into infinite space, all mean egotism vanishes. I become a transparent eyeball. I am nothing. I see all. The currents of the universal being circulate through me. I am part and parcel of God. The intuition of the moral sentiment is an insight of the perfection of the laws of the soul. These laws execute themselves. So much benevolence as a man hath, so much life hath he. For all things proceed out of the same Spirit, which is differently named love, or justice, or temperance. And expressions of this moral sentiment dwelled always deepest in the minds of men in the devout and contemplative East, not alone in Palestine, but also in Egypt, in Persia, in India, in China. Meantime, whilst the door of the temple stands open, night and day, before every man, it is guarded by one stern condition. This, namely, it is intuition. It cannot be received at second hand. What another soul announces, I must find true in me, or wholly reject. And on his word, be he who he may, I can accept nothing. Christianity it dwells with noxious exaggeration about the person of Jesus. But the soul knows no persons. It invites every man to expand the full circle of the universe, and it will have no preferences, but those of spontaneous love. And the second defect of traditional Christianity is to speak of the revelation of somewhat long ago given and done as if God were dead. The Spirit only can teach, but the man who aims to speak as books enable, as synods use, he babbles. Let him hush. The true test, the test of true faith certainly should be its power to affirm, command the soul, charm the soul, commanding that we find pleasure and honor in obeying. The faith should blend with the light of rising and setting suns, with the flying clouds, the singing birds, and the breath of flowers. I thank you for your attention.
When was the last time you heard refulgent? So the hearts. Do we have the picture of the hearts? There are two hearts in the painting. One's red and white and the other is blue. And of course, they represent love, which is the very center of our denomination. Every week in our affirmation, we start out with that word. Love is the spirit of this congregation. Another one of our favorite sayings is that we need not think alike to love alike. And the glass hearts represent all of that and more. So would you please now rise in body or spirit as we sing hymn number 298, Wake Now My Senses. Shall we do all 5 verses, Eileen? Okay. Be seated.
The antique ballot box is nothing I've ever seen before, but it is a symbol of democracy. Nowadays, there are modern machines, and some of us fill out mail-in ballots, and pretty soon there will be no one who knows what that antique ballot box is. Democracy began in New England churches before it became our country's form of democracy. Democracy is also the UU form of governance. Unitarian Universalism is not a top-down organization. There is no pope, there is no high priest. UU congregations discuss and vote as a community on things of importance, such as our minister, our lay leaders, our budget, and important decisions such as building this beautiful building. Unlike many other religions, we have no ecclesiastical body. We have no official church year. We choose our leaders, we choose our values, and we choose how we will worship. The Statue of Liberty, small in this painting, but always mighty to me, was a gift to the United States from France commemorating the centennial of the Declaration of Independence. There is a broken chain and shackle at her foot, which symbolizes the end of slavery in the United States. Unfortunately, we don't see these images in most pictures of the Statue of Liberty. The Green Lady is an icon recognized the world over as a symbol of freedom and inspiration and hope. Emma Lazarus's 1883 sonnet, The New Colossus, is displayed on her pedestal. That poem acknowledges the importance of immigration to this country. Its most famous lines are, "Give me your tired, your poor, your huddled masses yearning to breathe free." Less quoted and equally important to me are these lines. "Here at our sea-washed sunset gates shall stand a mighty woman with a torch, whose flame is the imprisoned lightning, and her name, Mother of Exiles." The scales of justice. Freedom is a core UU principle. UUs have the freedom to believe or not believe, the freedom to ask questions, the freedom to doubt, the freedom to express our opinions, and the freedom to protest. The scales of justice represent the delicate balance needed to maintain these freedoms. UUs recognize the vital importance of supporting the fight for justice for all. As we have seen over this country's history, and certainly today when there is great inequality of power in our society, democratic ideals and principles are threatened. Over the past 6 months, we have observed the devastating effects of what happens when the rule of law and the principles of due process and justice are out of balance. Justice is not a theoretical idea. We know that none of us are free unless all of us are free. As UUs, we are called to use our individual and collective freedoms responsibly and to be guided by the overarching goal of justice in the pursuit of freedom for all.
And now for the flowers. These vibrant flowers serve as a reminder of refulgent beauty in nature and beauty in each one of us. Feast on the differences, colors, size, shape, smells, and celebrate the glorious whole. Just as we celebrate coming together every Sunday morning, each one of us contributing to the rich existence of our Unitarian Universalist community.
Water. The water in our picture represents the sacred water of life, which is within us, around us, and sustains us. Water is essential to all plant, animal, and human life, for it to grow and to blossom. Our body is about 60% water. Water quenches our thirst, cleanses and soothes, and flowing water calms our spirits. It is transparent, but enhances the colors of all things that it touches. The clear glass vase represents the church, the beloved community, as the container where we come together and are held in love. The glass is fragile and yet strong. It's transparent, so the beauty and the strength of every individual is seen. The glass of the vase and of our church windows is clear, encouraging us to look out and engage with the world. It is a reminder that authentic religion is not inside for 1 hour a week, but to look for and to see the holy around us every hour of every day.
The offering we take each week is an opportunity to recommit to this congregation, to its people, and to its physical home. It is a manifestation of our generosity. It is how we show that we believe it is important to worship together, to help our community, and to say yes to the values of our faith. And we'll hear from Eileen as our ushers pass the basket. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you for your generosity. There's a little blue and white vase in the painting. It's the one with the yellow tulip on it. It's sitting on top of the ballot box. That particular style of pottery is traditional to Transylvania. And the link to us is that Transylvania is the location of the earliest presence of Unitarianism in Europe. The Unitarian Church of Transylvania was first recognized by the Edict of Torda, issued by Unitarian Prince John Sigismund, who I believe, is that right, Bill, was the only Unitarian head of state in history. The church was founded in 1568 and headed by preacher and theologian Francis David. Now, unfortunately, other denominations soon came to disapprove of our theology and declared Unitarians heretics. David was imprisoned and died in custody, But there are still many Unitarian congregations in that area, and Transylvania is now part of Romania. So our own Joanna Rooms went to a conference a few years ago, a women's conference, and Marcia Sill is here today. I'm so glad. Marcia lives in Seattle. She's a member of our congregation. Doesn't get out here every week, understandably. But I have a story to share that Marcia is part of. In our hymnal, in the teal hymnal, there's a hymn, number 1043, Zekeli Aldas. Does anyone speak Hungarian? Here. Oh, good. So if I make mistakes, you won't know. This is a contemporary song. It was written by Elizabeth Norton, both the melody and the lyrics. The lyrics, I think, are traditional Hungarian. The official language of the Transylvanian Unitarians is Hungarian. And this song it's beautiful. We've never sung it, but it has two counter melodies. One is in Hungarian or Transylvanian, and one is in English. And if you look carefully, the Hohit Otzeratet, if you look at the embroidery in the kitchen over the vent, it's red embroidered. Those is the words of the Hungarian. And Marcia brought that back from Transylvania and gifted it to our congregation. So please take a look at that. And someday, I promise, we will sing that song because it's quite beautiful. So that is the story of the little blue vase and our connection to Transylvania.
And this is the story of the oak leaves. Near the left edge of the painting, you see the falling oak leaf in mid-flight from tree to earth. It's green and seems to float gracefully. Earth, tree, leaf are all alive. And in this painting, the falling oak leaf represents how precious our lives are and how fleeting life is. But our lives are short. The leaf says, use your life that you've been given to do whatever you can to bring more love and justice into the world. And finally, the leaf that sits on top of the books. It's a dead oak leaf. It's brown, curled upward, as if it were holding something. In this painting, it holds the spirit of our ancestors, those who have given us life and those who have contributed to the spirit of Unitarian Universalism. Our ancestors come from many lands, and for this moment, we are the culmination of all their hopes and their dreams. The dead oak leaf reminds us that we must not forget our ancestors and be stewards of the gifts they gave us. They gave us the breath of life, and it is their shoulders we stand on. We will continue to dream as they dreamed before us.
So our closing hymn today is Pass on the Light. All of the songs today were, at least the lyrics, and in many cases the melodies also, were written by Unitarian Universalists. And inside your order of service are the lyrics to Pass on the Light. And actually the music. We have sung this once or twice before, not for a while. I absolutely love it. It was written by Cliff Harden, who is the music director still at River Road Unitarian, just north of Washington, D.C. And in case you didn't notice, Eileen played the melody as the offertory today. So hopefully that got it into your minds. Eileen, would you mind playing through the whole melody, just the melody once? From the beginning, just so people can match it to, they can read along and match it, and then we'll sing the whole thing. And then the chorus. Okay? All right, so now we're gonna, yes, please stand up. We'll sing all 3 verses. And she has a little intro, but. Be seated. Sandy, would you extinguish the chalice? I'd like to share these words by Reverend Dr. Peter Rabel, who served as University Unitarian for 37 years. We build on foundations we did not lay. We warm ourselves by fires we did not light. We sit in the shade of trees we did not plant, and we drink from wells we did not dig. We profit from persons we did not know, and this is as it should be. Together, we are more than any one person could be. Together, we can grow across the generations. Together, we can renew our hope and faith in the life that is yet to unfold. Together, we can heed the call to a ministry of care and justice. We are ever bound in community. May it always be so. Shalom, salam, namaste, and blessed be. And please join us for coffee and conversation.